The Vladtech Soul Identity Code Discovery. In May 2025, a technology company named Vladtech, led by Vladimir Kirilov, announced a startling discovery. They claim to have found something called the Soul Identity Code, a unique energetic signature of every person, like a fingerprint of the soul that could be observed before, during, and after death. The experiment was carried out with a volunteer who was approaching the end of life. Using advanced sensors and field mapping tools, the team reported they could detect subtle changes in the volunteer's energy field as death drew near. As those final moments arrived, witnesses described seeing a glowing, shifting pattern hovering just above the body. This pattern, the so-called Soul Identity Code, pulsed with energy before settling into a stable form at the moment of the last breath. After death, the Soul Identity Code appeared to remain close to the body for about 7 seconds. Observers called this a pause between realms, as if the soul hesitated before beginning its journey. Then, in an instant, the pattern vanished from the local environment. Moments later, the researchers claimed, it reappeared light years away, suggesting that it traveled across space and time in the blink of an eye. Reactions from the scientific world came quickly. Some physicists questioned whether the data showed the soul at all, suggesting it could have been residual brain energy. Others, however, were intrigued, seeing it as a potential breakthrough in understanding consciousness. Spiritual voices offered their own interpretation. They noted that ancient traditions described the breath of life departing, the spirit rising, and the soul returning to its source, echoes that seem to resonate with this modern report. The idea of the soul traveling after death is deeply rooted in oral tradition. The reported journey of the Soul Identity Code mirrors those beliefs of a spirit crossing rivers, stars, and hidden dimensions to reach the land of the ancestors. Vladimir Kirilov himself described the Soul Identity Code as, quote, a consciousness vector, encoded in light, memory, and identity. He suggested that every human being carries such a code, which survives death and continues through the fabric of the universe. This bold announcement also raised ethical concerns. Was it right to monitor the soul of a dying person? Did the volunteer truly understand what was being done? Vladtech maintained that the participant had given full consent and considered the act a sacred gift to both science and humanity. Other researchers, often called spiritual scientists, suggested another explanation. They compared the Soul Identity Code to a form of quantum memory, an imprint of consciousness that outlives the body. They pointed to the biblical word ruach, meaning the breath or spirit that returns to God after death. To help visualize what they witnessed, Vladtech later released a diagram. On one side, Kirilov is shown watching data on a screen. In the center lies the volunteer, with a glowing aura hovering above the body. From there, an arrow stretches across space to a distant galaxy, showing the soul's journey beyond this world. Whether this experiment was literal truth, symbolic insight, or something in between, it has opened a powerful conversation. It makes us ask not only where the soul goes after death, but what it means to live, to be remembered, and to carry an identity beyond the grave. Now the diagram. The title at the top reads, Monitoring of Soul Identity Code, or SIC, with in May 2025, just below it. This sets the scene for the reported event and anchors it in time. Beneath the title, a rectangular box provides context. It explains that a company named Vladtech, led by Vladimir Kirilov, claimed to monitor a dying volunteer's soul identity code, described as a unique energetic aura, similar to a consciousness fingerprint. On the left side of the diagram, there's an illustration showing Vladimir Kirilov observing a computer screen. The screen displays waveform data, suggesting he is tracking the SIC in real time. Next to Kirilov, the dying volunteer is shown lying peacefully on a bed. Above the body, a glowing aura in orange, yellow, and purple represents the SIC, dynamic and luminous, hovering just above the physical form. Labels beneath this scene identify the figures: Vladimir Kirilov on the left, dying volunteer on the right, and SIC monitored beneath the aura. This clarifies the roles and the focus of the observation. To the right of this section, a text box explains that observers reported the SIC lingered briefly near the body after death before vanishing. This moment is portrayed as a transitional phase. A curved arrow arcs from the lingering SIC to the far right of the diagram. This arrow represents the reported instantaneous displacement of the SIC, moving across space without delay. On the far right, another text box states that the SIC reappeared light years away, as though it had traveled instantaneously through space. This suggests a non-local phenomenon, possibly beyond conventional physics. The illustration beside this box shows a glowing aura floating near a spiral galaxy surrounded by stars. This visual implies that the SIC entered a distant or higher dimensional realm. 4. The dashed arrow connecting the two scenes emphasizes the journey of the SIC from the body to a cosmic location, symbolizing a leap across space-time or dimensions. The color palette uses deep blues for the background, with bright tones for the aura and text. This contrast evokes mystery, depth, and the sacred nature of the event. The diagram as a whole narrates the SIC's journey, its monitoring, lingering, disappearance, and reappearance. It blends scientific imagery with metaphysical symbolism. Taken together, the components form a visual metaphor for the soul's passage, bridging technology, spirituality, and storytelling. It invites reflection on what it means to observe, honor, and interpret the unseen. For us today, the application is clear. This discovery, whether scientific or spiritual, reminds us that life is not only measured in days, but in meaning. Every action, every word, and every act of love may be part of the soul's eternal imprint, our own soul identity code that continues beyond the limits of time. It invites us to live with hope, to walk with purpose, and to remember that death is not an end, but a transition. If science points to the possibility of the soul's journey, and faith assures us of it, then we are called to live faithfully, to love deeply, and to trust that our true essence is never lost. And so, may you be blessed with peace, wisdom, and courage for the journey of life. May your spirit shine with light. May your identity be secure in the hands of the Creator. And may you rest in the promise that death is not defeat, but a doorway. In the name of the Eternal One who holds our beginning and our end, Amen.